Hey guys, it's Alexandra from iloveknots.com. Today I'm going to show you how to make a beanie made with half double crochet stitches. I'm using Swish from We Crochet. This is a worsted weight number 4 yarn. This beautiful gray color is called Dove Heather. I really like this yarn. It is a 100% merino wool. It is soft. When you put it on, it just feels like it's hugging you. It is durable. It machine washes well. A yarn that is very similar to this is Lion brand Wool Ease. If you can't do wool, Red Heart Soft is a good alternative. Lion brand Heartland or We Crochet's Brava yarn. I'm going to be using an H8 5mm crochet hook. You're going to need whatever crochet hook you need to meet gauge with. And we'll go over gauge after we do round 4. We'll stop and check our gauge to make sure that we're on point. To check your gauge, you're going to need a soft tape measure. And gauge is super important to make sure that the finished beanie is going to come out to the right size. I'm going to start with a slip knot. I have the yarn coming from the ball over my fingers here. Wrap it around my index finger 2 times. I have the working yarn here in between my middle finger and my thumb. I'm holding for tension. I'm going to take the loop that's on the left, pull it up over the other loop but not off my finger. Then take the loop that's on the left now, pull it up over the other loop and off my finger. Then I'll take my crochet hook, insert it into the loop that's on my finger. I'll pull the working yarn here in my right hand, and the short tail end, I'm just going to tug on it until it tightens to normal tension. We have a finished slip knot. I want to start with 9 half double crochets in my first round. Typically we chain several stitches and then slip stitch join to form a ring. When working in smaller number of stitches, like 9, I find that the ring tends to pucker and then the circle doesn't lay flat. So when I'm working with like 8 or 9 stitches in the first round, I do my beginning ring differently. I'm going to hold the slip knot with my left hand here, and I want to start with a chain 3. I'm going to yarn over the hook and pull through the loop, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. That's 3 chains. So to form the ring I was talking about, you insert your hook into the first stitch and slip stitch, and it forms a little ring there. We're not going to do that here. We're going to work our stitches into that first chain as if that was our ring. I want a total of 9 half double crochets. I am not going to count this beginning chain 3 as a stitch. To work a half double crochet, we yarn over. We're going to insert our hook right into the center of that first chain. Yarn over, pull through. We have 3 loops on our hook. Yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. Let's work one more together. Yarn over, insert your hook in the center of that first chain, yarn over, pull through, 3 loops on our hook, yarn over, pull through all 3. The hole from that beginning chain is going to open up and get bigger because this slip knot is not secured. So just make sure that if it does open up and get bigger, it doesn't get big enough that your tail end comes through it. I have 2 half double crochets here. I want a total of 9 half double crochets. I've just finished 9 half double crochets. You can see how large the hole has gotten. You just want to make sure that as it gets larger, it doesn't pull this tail end through. So to tighten that up, we just hold the fabric and pull on the tail end. And then if you continue to pull it while you're holding the fabric, the hole closes up. And we'll secure that close when we weave in our ends. I'm going to slip stitch join to the first half double crochet of the round, which is over here. If you're not sure where it is, you can count backwards using these V shapes that you see. Each one of those is a stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Insert my hook under both loops, yarn over, pull through that stitch and the loop that's on my hook. That is a slip stitch join, and we're going to do that at the end of each round of this beanie. For the first half of our beanie, we're going to be increasing. Each round will have more stitches in it than the round before, and we increase so that our circle continues to get larger but also lay flat. Once we reach the diameter that we need for our hat, then we stop increasing, and the second half of the beanie is just worked in plain rounds. For round 2, we're going to chain 1 and turn at the end of every round. That's going to help our seam stay straight so it's not traveling. The other way that we're going to help our seam stay straight is I'm going to work my beginning increase differently than what you may be used to. Typically you work 2 stitches into the first stitch, 2 stitches into the next, or 2 stitches into the first stitch, 1 stitch into the next stitch, but I only work 1 stitch into the first stitch, then I work all the way around in pattern as normal, and then I work the last stitch of my first increase into the first stitch on the right side of the beginning tail, of the beginning chain. So the first stitch goes here into the first stitch, then we work all the way around, your last stitch ends up over here, and then I work the second increase from my first set of increases into that first stitch. The first one comes out to the left of the beginning chain, and the second one comes out to the right of the beginning chain, but they're all worked right in here. For round 2, we're going to work 2 stitches into that first stitch and 2 stitches into each stitch around. But I'm going to start with just 1 stitch in the first one, then I'll work 2 stitches into the next stitch, 2 stitches into the next stitch after that, and continue working all the way around. Once I get to the end, I'm going to work the second stitch from my first set of increases, and it'll complete this increase and the round. At the end of this round, we're going to have 18 half double crochets. I've just worked the last stitch of my last repeat. I need to work 1 more stitch to complete this round. I'm going to yarn over, insert my hook right into the very next stitch next to where you just finished, and complete a half double crochet. That's the second half double crochet for my first set of increases. Now I will insert my hook underneath both loops from the first stitch and complete a slip stitch. Round 2 is now complete. We have 18 half double crochets. For round 3, we're going to chain 1 and turn. 1 half double crochet into the first stitch, and the last stitch for that increase will be at the end. 1 half double crochet into the next stitch. Our repeat for this round is 2 half double crochets into the next stitch, 1 half double crochet into the next stitch, 2 half double crochets into the next stitch, 1 half double crochet into the next stitch. We're going to continue working in that manner, 2 stitches into the next stitch, 1 stitch into the next stitch, all the way around. Once we get to the end over here, we'll work 1 final stitch into the first stitch to complete our first set of increases, and we'll slip stitch join. We're going to end this round with 27 half double crochets. So I've just worked the last stitch of my last repeat. I'll work one more stitch into the first stitch, then slip stitch join to the first half double crochet of the round. And now round 3 is complete with 27 half double crochets. For round 4, chain 1 and turn. I'll work 1 half double crochet into the first stitch. That's my first increase, so the second half of that will be at the end. Then half double crochet into the next 2 stitches. Our repeat for this round, 2 half double crochets into the next stitch, half double crochet into each of the next 2 stitches. We'll continue working all the way around, 2 half double crochets into the next stitch, 1 half double crochet into each of the next 2 stitches. Once we finish our last repeat over here, we'll work 1 more stitch into the first stitch and slip stitch join. At the end of this round, we're going to end up with 36 half double crochets. I've just worked the last stitch of my final repeat. I'll work 1 more stitch into the first stitch. That completes the first increase. Slip stitch join to the first half double crochet. And now round 4 is complete with 36 half double crochets. We're going to take a moment to pause here and check our gauge. For this circle, we're going to measure the diameter, which is the distance across the center of the circle, beginning on the edge of the left side, ending on the edge of the right side. You'll take your soft tape measure, you'll just lay it across, and you'll take the measurement. We want ours to be 3 1/4 inches. So we lay our tape measure on the edge of the left side across the center, and we take the measurement on the edge of the right side. 3 1/4 inches across is what mine is currently measuring. If the diameter of your circle is measuring smaller than 3 1/4 inches, you need to switch to a larger crochet hook and rework these first 4 rounds, then take gauge again. If the diameter of your circle is measuring larger than 3 1/4 inches, you need to switch to a smaller crochet hook and rework these first 4 rounds. If your diameter is not currently measuring 3 1/4 inches and you continue to work, the finished beanie is going to come out either too small or too large. For round 5, chain 1 and turn. 1 half double crochet into the first stitch, and then I'll work the second half of that increase at the end. 1 half double crochet into each of the next 3 stitches. Our repeat begins, 2 half double crochets into the next stitch, 1 half double crochet into each of the next 3 stitches. You'll continue working around, 2 half double crochets into the next stitch, 1 half double crochet into each of the next 3 stitches. Once you're at the end, you'll work 1 more stitch in the first stitch to complete that first increase, and then slip stitch join. This round is going to have 45 half double crochets. Now I've just worked the last stitch of my last increase. I'll work one more stitch into the first stitch, slip stitch join to the first half double crochet of the round, and now round 5 is complete with 45 half double crochets. For round 6, chain 1 and turn. I'll work 1 half double crochet in the first stitch and work the second stitch from that increase at the end, then half double crochet to the next 4 stitches, and our repeat begins. 2 half double crochets into the next stitch, 1 half double crochet into each of the next 4 stitches. Continue working all the way around. 2 half double crochets in the next stitch, 1 half double crochet into each of the next 4 stitches. Once you're back at the end, you'll work one more stitch to complete that first set of increases, and then slip stitch join. This round is going to have 54 half double crochets. I just finished the last stitch from my last repeat. I'm going to work one more stitch into the first stitch and then slip stitch join to the first half double crochet. And now round 6 is complete with 54 half double crochets. For round 7, chain 1 and turn. I'll half double crochet into the first stitch, and I'll work the second stitch of that increase at the end. Then half double crochet into each of the next 5 stitches. Our repeat begins. 2 half double crochets into the next stitch, 1 half double crochet into each of the next 5 stitches. Then we'll continue working all the way around. 2 half double crochets into the next stitch, 1 half double crochet into each of the next 5 stitches. After we work our last stitch from our last repeat over here, we'll work one more stitch into the first stitch and then slip stitch join. This round is going to have 63 half double crochets. I've just worked the last stitch of my last repeat, work one more stitch into the first stitch here, and then slip stitch join to the first half double crochet. And now round 7 is complete with 63 half double crochets. For this toddler size, we are finished increasing. We're going to take our tape measure And just double check our diameter here from the left side directly across to the right side. 5¼ inches is what your diameter should be. Now that we have the finished size that we want, we are no longer going to be increasing. So all the remaining rounds will just have this same number of stitches. They're also all going to be worked exactly the same as this round. Chain 1 and turn. 1/2 double crochet into the first stitch, and then 1/2 double crochet into each stitch all the way around. There's my last stitch of the round. I'll insert my hook into the first stitch and slip stitch join, and now you'll notice that the circle's not laying flat anymore. It's starting to take this bowl shape, which is exactly the shape that you want for your beanie. Each of the remaining rounds are going to be worked exactly the same. Chain 1, turn, 1/2 double crochet into the first stitch and all the way around, then slip stitch join. You're going to fold your hat in half. It'll automatically start taking the shape once you add more rounds to it. You'll take your tape measure, measure from the top center all the way down. For a toddler size beanie, you want 6½ inches in length. If the finished length comes out a little bit smaller than this, we can add a round of single crochet to give us about 1/4 inch in length. I'm going to work off camera until I get to the length that I want, and then I'll come back and say how many rounds I worked. Alright, I just finished the last round for my toddler size beanie. 21 rounds. My beanie now measures from the top center all the way down 6 5/8 inches. I wanted 6½, but 1/8 inch is no problem at all. The only thing left to do is fasten off my ends and weave them in. I'm going to add a video here showing how to weave in ends from a different hat that I worked. Now I'm ready to weave in my ends. This is a look at the back side of the beanie. You can see that the seam of the beanie is completely straight there. I just love seeing that. I'm going to take my scissors and just fasten off. Then I'll pull up on that loop, the last loop I worked, to break the loop. And I'll insert that into my tapestry needle. I'm just going to take my needle and insert it into the stitch that I slip stitched to so that I come out on the wrong side. And then I'm going to turn my whole beanie inside out so that my ends are weaved in on the wrong side. When we're weaving, we don't want to go horizontally. This restricts the stretch of that area that we're weaving into. So we want to weave in vertically, up and down. We'll go into a nearby stitch. I don't pick the whole stitch up when I work. This is picking up the whole stitch. I go right down into the center of the stitch, breaking it in half. Then work upwards under several stitches. And when I come out, I'm also not going to pick up the whole stitch. I'm going to come out the center of the stitch, breaking it in half. This is going to help catch my yarn. so that I don't have to worry about my end coming out. And I always kind of use my fingers to pull the end so that it doesn't, if you pull too tight, then your fabric will get misshapen. So I just use my fingers each time I'm finished with a pass, and I make sure it looks exactly the way that I want it to look. I work 3 passes, so I'm going to rotate my fabric. And now I'm going to go into a nearby stitch, breaking it in half. Then I'll go down those same stitches I just worked. And when I come out, I will also break the stitch in half. And now I'll do one more pass. 3 is my lucky number. I always feel comfortable after that. So I'm just going into a nearby stitch, going back through those stitches I worked, and coming out the center of another stitch. And now I'm happy with this. If your end does not feel secure enough, work another pass. Fasten off. And we'll go to the top now. I've just stuck my hand in on the bottom of the beanie, and I'm working, pulling it into my hand so that I have total control of the fabric. First thing we're going to do is we're going to work clockwise around the center ring until we're back to the beginning. And now where I'm coming out of is the beginning, but I want to go under just a couple more stitches. There's a couple stitches past that. And now I'm going to hold the fabric with my left hand and pull on that tail end so that I can close up that center ring. Then I'll hold the tail tension with my left hand, and I'm going to go backwards now underneath several of those stitches I just worked to secure it in place. I do it the same way. I break the stitch in half. Then I'll work under several stitches here, breaking the other stitch in half when I come out. And just give it a tug just to secure that center ring. Then we'll work another pass in the same direction we just came in. So I'm going into a nearby stitch, breaking it in half, working under several of these stitches, coming out another stitch where I break it in half. And now that's 3 passes. So if you feel secure about your center ring, then you can go ahead and fasten off your yarn. If you feel like it's a little bit loose and it might come out, work another pass. For peace of mind, I'm just going to work another pass. And now I'll fasten off. And I'll turn my beanie back to the right side. Guys, thanks so much for watching my video. You'll find the written pattern for this toddler size beanie at iloveknots.com. Please smash that like button and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video.